Enduro Racer by Sega was released in two forms way back in 1986, coming in either a stand-up cabinet with handlebars attached or a full-size dirt bike on the cabinet itself. It's said that Enduro Racer is essentially a dirt version of Hang-On, hence the similar engine and PCB. The player rides the dirt bike through 5 stages and must avoid other riders as well as rocks and trees. They can also jump over them with the assist of hills on the road. The game's most definitive feature was the wheelie, that allowed players to pull up the handlebars on the cabinet to perform the wheelie.
Checkpoint!
Normally ZX Spectrum ports of arcade games turn out to be awful, even though back in the day they were praised by the ZX gaming press. Enduro Racer was one of these games, so obviously I didn't expect much from it. I was pleasantly surprised though. The controls are pretty good, as is the frame rate. Even the graphics are respectable for a Spectrum. A pretty good all-round port. Well, apart from the music, that's just terrible. Do I really need to say anything? Yet another crappy slow ZX Spectrum port for all those Amstrad fans to enjoy. This version doesn't even have the music from the Spectrum game. Actually, that could be considered a bonus point. As is the case 99% of the time, the Commodore 64 version was programmed by a different developer to the Spectrum and Amstrad, resulting in a completely different look. I'd say the Spectrum port has the edge on gameplay, but that's not to say the C64 version is all bad. In fact, it's quite good to be honest. Surprisingly, there's no Amiga port of Enduro Racer, but it did make its way to the Atari ST. While it's a little sluggish and suffers from having to push forward to accelerate like all the home computer ports, it isn't too bad. In what seems to be a common move for arcade to Master System ports by Sega, this version has been completely redesigned. The core game is the same, as are the stage ideas. However, now the action is viewed from an isometric point of view. It's not a bad game in its own right, but it's certainly not Enduro Racer. Funnily enough, compared to the Western release which you are seeing now, the Japanese version has more tracks and background objects, such as people and trees. Okay, and let's take a look at all those versions of Enduro Racer running side by side. Which do you think is the best?